Hello, this is my Week 8 benchmark organizational design structure and change presentation. I'm using BP Oil Company as the company I've chose. What we will cover. This is just a page to help you navigate the different sections. Not all sections have one slide, but this is just the basic run through of what we're covering. Again, this is a reference point, not really something to present. As far as this company goes, we're identifying areas that it's underperforming, and we've chose social and environmental responsibilities here. With that being said, let's face it, BP is a major fossil fuel company, and no matter how hard they may try, or we may try even, to make it a truly 100% socially and economically, socially and environmentally responsible company, this is going to fall short, and it's going to have to adapt and change constantly. All right, what damage is this company doing with these failures for social and environmental responsibility? Well, first off, they're lying to people, saying the company is causing less damage than it really is in points. They're doing this with advertisements, and they've had lawsuits brought to them. Um, they're trying to hide negligence and play the company off as being safer than it really is. They are doing damage to the environment that we greatly depend on to live. Damage on both wildlife and plant life. Unethical to hide these things just basically says what it says. I mean, the company needs to review its ethics to understand that this is not acceptable. For example, with things it's trying to keep covered up, one oil spill was reported to kill 800,000 birds. That's just birds. And that doesn't include plant life it may have damaged. That doesn't include an ecosystem it may have destroyed. That was just a single oil spill and birds it killed. You can only imagine what the true numbers were for everything. What happens if all this is left unchecked? Well, obviously, we've already covered the loss of life, but it also reduces the food that we have. It can reduce our natural resource. It cause irreversible damage, destroy ecosystems. If if left unchecked, it can even damage our ability to survive on this world. BP's organization structure. It's our standard top to bottom organization, from the board of directors to a CEO to executive vice presidents and on down. Each executive officer has a team of officers below them, and the team of officers below them has a actual team below them. I didn't really get into how far down each section goes and branches, but we're just looking at your standard ladder style organization where your boss reports to another boss, where they report to another boss. Something we see in a lot of major organizations. Conscious culture and management. To the right, you're going to see a chart here that I found from the MIT.edu page. And this is just saying how many of the 8 culture values that this company is meeting for each one. Now, on this chart, you're going to notice there's a ninth, but being that this is an organization that is global, there is a globalization area um, that falls and changes 8 to 9. Major issues I see in this chart and that you should be aware of too is the respect and the integrity and collaboration. Those are the 3 lowest points for this company. Something that most companies, if not all, should exceed in. This chart shows a company that performs well, but does not have the respect and honesty and the ability to work with others that it should. So, with that chart, does BP embody conscious culture and management? No. I'm sure they do on some level. Um, as every organization has different levels of management. Some leaders may, some may not. But as a company overall, no, they do not. It doesn't mean that I feel that they are performing worse because of this. It doesn't mean that they would perform better having it. It just means at this point they are severely lacking in that area, and it may make a difference. Cotter's 8-step change method. In this, we want to identify each step, and we're going to say the changes that we are hoping to achieve by what we see in this company. First step is create. Now, we did social and environmental, so each of these answers has two parts. First, for create, we want more conscious leaders and creating a team that works better with others than what we have. We also want to create a way to offset some of these environmental issues before they become an issue. Again, this is a major company. There's going to be issues, and we just have to be honest, and we have to make the public see we're not hiding them. Build the respectful and conscious team is a huge part and probably the biggest. But we also want to try to use some of the lands that the company of BP owns and turn them into sanctuaries or wildlife areas. Something to help the environment grow and thrive again where we may have been. Form strategic locations for these sanctuaries. Why do I say strategic? We want the sanctuaries to be seen, but we don't want to advertise them. We want the public to see what we're doing and that we're not doing it for attention. We also want to form a strategy of how to get the team we need to make this happen. Enlist. This is where we start our reach outs and we start to enlist the team we're looking for. Why am I using the term reach out? Because we're probably going to have to use external people and external hires to fill this team from where we're going to have to get rid of some of this leadership. We also want to reach out to organizations that deal with protecting and saving environments to help us in creating these sanctuaries. We can't do it ourselves. That's not our expertise. We want to reach out to people that know what they're doing in this regard. Enable. We want to remove any barriers that we have the best we can. We won't be able to remove them all by any means, but the ones we can't remove, we want to find a way to make those barriers work for us if possible. Generate. We want to show the teams that are in the company and are helping us that we're succeeding at points. We want to share this success with them to make them feel like what they're doing is right. And to do that will also it'll make them happier. It'll allow them to feel accomplished. Sustain. Once we get up and running with doing all this, we want to sustain the pace. We want everything to grow. From hiring the people we need, we want to grow the sanctuaries. If they start off small, we can make them larger, so on and so forth. Final step in the 8-step model here is institute. This is where all the change is seen. This is where we can sit there and get things, the word spreading. Again, we're not using our standard advertising to show we're doing these things. We want the public to see these things and come to us about it. We don't want to be as if we are trying to make ourselves look good. We want them to see we're doing the right thing, even without recognition. In the military, they have the saying, do what you're supposed to do, even if you think you're not seen, because there's always someone looking. And that's kind of what we're looking to do here. If media approaches us about it, we won't try to hide it. We won't sit there and say we're not doing it. We'll be honest, but hopefully by that time we have the team and the change in place that needed to happen to where they can make this work for us so much better. Possible issues with all of this plan. Again, the biggest one is just we want it to be seen, but if it gets out too soon, we may not have the team to put quite as big of a spin on it as we hope, but it'll still be successful, I believe. We want to replace the bad culture in the company and leadership, as well as we're having to hire external because some of the issues were acceptable to a lot of people and they've been through it, so they are not going to have as much of an issue going back to it. We want to prevent that. Um, Again, this requires us to possibly hire an outside team versus an internal, and that's going to cause pushback from the internal side a lot of the time. Um, and we're going to be replacing all the way up the chain. So that's the executive vice presidents and the CEO, and possibly even board members to get this done. There's probably going to be more issues, but when you're replacing top down for team members to be conscious and leadership to be honest and show integrity, we're going to have a lot of pushback and a lot of issues. What I would avoid as a manager, I would avoid keeping anyone that does not view conscious management as a relevant thing in the position of a leader. Using anyone that was deemed as having a lack of respect or integrity. What I mean by this is if surveys are sent out and a team says their manager is not honest or their manager is not showing respect in some way, we want to get them out of that position. Um, it's one thing to have one off someone complain about someone, but when your whole team says you lack these things, that's another. Bringing in people for higher leadership roles that feel they may be above the rule and may not show promise. Again, we want to avoid that. We want to avoid all disrespect and integrity issues that we can. Our company is already in the bad side of that light. So we want to avoid having more come in as that. And let's see here. What I would do as a manager, I would raise the respect and integrity to a much higher level. I believe that we need to do this for the BP organization, and that without it, they're just going to continue down the same path they're currently on. I would try to practice conscious leadership to my team and work on making sure managers below me were doing this as well. Again, I can't control everyone and things will get overlooked, but the more the merrier, so to speak. I would have an open door policy. It's important for anyone with an issue to be able to go over that manager's head and reach out to me. Our best resource when someone does something wrong or irresponsible is the team to speak up if they see something, say something. If you close that door to them, then you're just inviting issues to fester and become much bigger than they could have been. I want my team to know that I respect them from the CEO to the day one hire. Everyone deserves respect, and a company surrounding itself in respect shows more empathy. More empathy is geared towards servant leadership, but it's also geared for conscious leadership. You win more with honey than you do vinegar. And lastly here, my references. I hope you enjoyed my presentation. Have a wonderful day and stay safe. Bye-bye.